Zoom out, put some contours in the middle of your road, some contour labels. Add labels, contour, multiple. Bang, bang. So, 74, 76, 76. 77 is probably my high point, right? Maybe I might get up to 78.9. Right, so let's say 78. 2 feet above the road is going to be what? 380. Now, how did they get moved over there? From the endpoint. And I'm going to check those elevations again and make sure, yeah, there is something wrong with this. So my computer just does not want to do anything today correctly. So let's see if I can move it from the endpoint there. I did make the endpoint on that driveway line. Okay. I need to restart. Did you notice my elevations were in the 7,000 range when I was snapping to there's something wrong with that. So what I tell you to do to your drawing if it doesn't seem to be working correct. Use the recover command to open it. So at the command line, just type recover. And browse to your file. And it will check it for errors. And again, this can fix more problems than audit because the drawing is not loaded into memory. It can find more things that it can actually address. Yeah, that is just really bizarre. So, and then when we push them down to 0, this is the whole coordinate system thing. There are elevations 0 now. Let me do a P line from here to here. And I'm using a polyline, so it's a constant elevation. And I'm going to hopefully move these guys. Right onto spot, and hopefully they will stay where they're supposed to. There we go. No, still at elevation 9. How did that happen? How did that happen? Let's type elevation. Default elevation 0. I have issues. All right, so I'm gonna try to create feature lines from these and see what happens. Oh wait, yeah, and I'm gonna edit them later. But normally, your polylines, you know, when you draw them, they'll be at elevation 0. I don't know what's going on with my file, you shouldn't have it. You can very easily take these 3 polylines and assign elevations to them. And it's easier to assign elevations to a polyline than a feature line, because with the polyline you assign the elevation once for every vertex. A feature line you assign an elevation to every vertex, all right? Let's look at our building. And here's our garage. And here's our first floor. Finished first floor, finished garage floor, or basement floor. And I have a door down there. We would have this coming out and then maybe coming up like that. But the difference is 10 feet. And then again, if I said 2 feet above the road, we need our dirt line to be 2 feet below first floor. So this is that grade line. This one is 2 feet. All right, now again, 10 feet between first floor. The dirt has to come out a minimum of 2 feet below. Now, if I was looking at this, let's take this out for a second. And let's assume this is all underground, right? Dirt comes up, goes across, is our grade line. What is technically wrong with this from a grading standpoint? What happens to rainwater when it hits here?
It's going to go into the house?
It's going into here. Is that good?
No.
What does that do?
It could leak into the house through the crack.
All right. How many of you hope to buy a home someday, a house? All right. You walk into the basement. You see the walls beveling out. That's because water was getting in here, and in the winter it was freezing all inside here. What does the water do when it freezes? It expands and it pushes your wall. Walk away from that house. All right? When you grade, make sure that the water goes away. Should be at least 20 feet. Even if the existing grade is back here, you still do this, and then you come out and maybe you have a couple of walls that'll bring you back up to that, you know what I mean? If you're in Edgewater, over on the Palisade Cliffs. All right, that would get you back up and provide you with a backyard, and the water goes away from the house. All right, so with that, and this sketch, and I look at my 3 polylines for my thing. I gotta move these a little bit to get them into the lot. And I'm gonna create feature lines from those objects. Hopefully it works. Oh wow, it didn't like any of those because they weren't created in a world coordinate system. How do you like that? Let's see. Oh, wait a second. I have the building, don't I? X attach. I think I drew the building for you guys. And I think I have it in my subdivision. Alright, done. Alright, so let's go through that nonsense again. Rectangle here. And I'm sorry, rectangle, let's go at 60 or 80 you said, right? At 80 comma 60, offset 32. I think I drew that a little big, but that's all right. Hold control, get rid of those guys. Erase P line from here, perpendicular, offset that 32. Offset 12. Fillet R 12. Offset 5. Oh, I did use one other command in here. I used lengthen, LEN. Total of 12 feet. P line 1, 2. Fillet R 5. I told you guys about this, right? With that dead point, right? This made a polyline. But if I explode that polyline, I told you about that. Did I show you guys about? Right, that 0 point. How long is that? That's a line. And what's the length of that line? 0. So erase them. They're going to wreak havoc again on your feature lines. TR. Now if I join this up, I'm not going to get that excess vertice from a 0 length line in there. And I can also, while I'm here, add that vertex there. And I can offset 0.05. Well, I don't want to do that yet because I don't have my layers. These are all, look at that, elevation 0, how nice. Copy with the base point of right here. And I will save this so I have that. And I'm going to come in here and just go Control V. And I'm going to turn off my snap, and I'm going to, I bet it was the align command that wrecked up those coordinates. Don't use the align command. Rotate. And I am going to move the previous selection set from here. We'll bring it back a little bit. And extend again, 1, 2. I have a new driveway location. Oh, I don't have vertices, do I? So I need to add them now to the feature line. Insert PI. At the end point, I'm going to use my surface elevation. And there's only one surface in here, so it should know the right one. And I'm going to do the same at the end point over here. And again, use the surface. And I threw one of those guys out of whack. What do I do if I throw them out of whack? You probably did this. Just go back and reassign the elevations. And it comes right back up to where it should be. Okay, so offset, LA. And this is going to be current layer. And I'm on the first floor, so I'm going to offset point 1. And then I'm going to change my layer to the basement, and I'm going to do the offset 0.05. And now I'm right back where I was before. And I said I wanted to put my building, my first floor, up at 380. What does my basement go to? 370. And the grade line is going to be the first floor minus 2 feet. So instead of 380, we're going to get 378. Look at that. You could do yourself a favor, and you can move your polylines up to the elevation, if you wanted, of the right, you see them coming up, move them up to the elevation of the home. Now I'm just going to go feature line, create from object. And remember what I said about the styles. Use a feature line style, make one called by layer, put it all on layer 0, and you can pick them up and move them to a layer, building, driveway, whatever you need. Hit OK, enter, and it has the elevations I mostly want. Again, I messed up something over here, right? Because again, the elevations didn't come up right. Not a big deal. Reassign your elevations from the EG, and it should set those grades right back down to where they should be. Well, oh wait, this is a last in, last wins. I have an overlap here. I told you last week to install Civil 3D Update 3, right? 2020 Update 3. Did you notice when I grip edited this, it went right to the elevation? Last week when we tried it without the update, that did not work. This update fixes that, so you can grip edit things and expect them to take the elevation that you're looking for. It's important that you install that update. All right. My driveway. General rules for your residential grading. Minimum slope on grass, 2%. Minimum slope on pavement, 1%. Maximum slope on a parking area, 5%. Where's the parking area? This box, right? This box is our parking area. This is our access. Maximum slope on the access, 12%. Maximum in the parking is 5. Why do we want a different maximum grade in the parking area? What happens if I'm on a slope all the way down, and maybe even a little bit this way, and I just open my door? The door flies, right? When you start getting in grades greater than that, your doors are really gonna fly, and that little old lady's walking between her shopping cart, you're gonna knock her off her walker, and she's gonna be really upset. A common standard for almost any parking lot is maximum 5%. Some towns may take it less, 4%, 3.5%, but generally speaking, 5 would be your max. I would normally design this at 2%. I know the water's gonna run off. I might hit 1% if I'm in a really flat area. I try not to do that. But I'm going to try to stay within 5% here. Usually I'm going to go 2 and start and see how it works, and adjust it later. All right. So we have these feature lines. They're basically at elevation, but they're not part of my surface yet, are they? Add the driveway, the grade line, and the basement to your surface. Do not add the first floor. The first floor feature line there is just for a label later on to help you get your labels automatically. Driveways. grade line, and basement. And I'm gonna show you why we add the basement and not the first floor, is because when I really start working on this, and I build this home, I'm gonna have a hole, right? If I model the first floor into that, I'm not gonna see that hole, and I'm not gonna compute all that dirt that's coming out from that. So I always want to try to estimate where a basement is if I've got to include that in soil movement. All right.
Council, can you repeat how you added those lines again?
Select it, right click, add the surface break line. And as long as you only have feature lines selected, you will see this. If you select a feature line and a polyline, you won't see it. Feature line and a 3D polyline, you won't see it. We could also select it and go right to our tool space, find our definition, and right-click, add break lines. Just like you did in your intersections. So, driveways are usually level. Does that look level? No, right? What I tell you about contours closer than 6 feet? It's too steep, right? Does that look closer than 6 feet? If this is 12, right? My driveway is 12. These are like, 3 feet apart, so those contours are really steep there. All right. I flatten my driveway by putting a vertex in right opposite the return. And I grade this as parking, and I try to grade this level, all right? You guys don't have to be perfect. But if you draw a feature line from here, it'll pick up the elevation, go perpendicular. Your grade would be 0. And you notice that came up. My surface is not rebuilding automatically. Now it looks like it's leveling out, right? But I still have these issues over here. So, I noted that elevation right at that endpoint is not on the surface where it should be. I can see it right here, bending up, right? And I've got 2, 4, 6 feet of change along that driveway apron. That's not working. That's just because I lost the elevation from the surface. And if I use my quick elevation editor, I can choose the surface, make sure I'm selecting EG, FG, and it'll give me that elevation, and it should push that line right back down. Is my driveway looking a little more level? All right, that's pretty good, pretty appropriate. All right. That's not too bad. Wouldn't it be nice to have this leveled out a little bit though, right? 2, 4, 6, almost 8 feet of change in that backyard, right? Do we want to open up our back door and get our skis on, get on our snowboards and just like down the mountain? No, we'd like a little level area, right? Maybe we want to put a picnic area back there, a pool back there. We want the kids playing there. We don't want them rolling off the world. And if we're a flat earther, then you don't believe in that. But what I can do is maybe put a retaining wall back here. You want to see how easy a retaining wall is? Just drawing a polyline. I'm going to make it a feature line. This is all in that document I gave you. And I'm going to assign elevations from the EGFG, and it puts that line right there up on that surface. All I'm gonna do now, and I'm gonna give you guys a break. You can make your retaining walls 1 foot wide. Not very realistic unless you're doing a concrete wall, all right? It's definitely not a rubble wall or a boulder wall. But it's gonna make your life a little easier. Use my stepped offset. We used that, remember that command? We used it to make our curves, because it offset a polyline both horizontally and vertically at the same time. Stepped offset. And I'm gonna give it a horizontal offset distance of 1. And rule, your walls could be no more than 4 feet in height. And if you tier them, you have to provide 6 feet of separation. All right. So I'm gonna offset this on this side, and I'm gonna go up an elevation difference of 4 feet. Now, I gotta do one more thing. Any of you guys have retaining walls on your homes? Drive past them, see them on occasion? Notice them? Generally speaking, they're not gonna come to an abrupt 4-foot end if they're holding earth, right? If it's like a stone fence, it could. But not if it's a wall. If it's a wall, those 2 points, top and bottom, have to come to an end point. Right? We can't have them end like this. They eventually have to meet where the grade up here meets the grade down here. It's pretty simple to do it. There's that 4-foot difference. I have enough distance over here in these 2 vertices where if I just draw a feature line at the bottom of the wall and project a grade or a difference of 0, it brought that wall down. Now instead of that wall being 4 foot like that, it's coming like this. Just by drawing that one line. I would go to the other side and do it. But if you look, it's going to literally pivot this whole thing down. And I don't want that, do I? I'd like to keep that 4 feet height of that wall. You get that, right? If I just take this one endpoint and drop it down 4 feet, then I'm going that 4-foot change, delta Z, here to here. I don't want to do that. I want to hold the 4 feet constant to about here and then go down. So just put a PI or an elevation point. I'm going to tell you it's going to be, 12, 18 feet there. And then we can do another one on the top. And we see now we have 2 new vertices, right? And now I can just pivot this one down and meet that. So I can draw that feature line from the endpoint to the endpoint with a grade of 0. And here's my retaining wall. Note that the retaining wall in a profile view is going to look more like a trapezoid than a rectangle. Again, because the ends have to meet each other. Now I'm going to add these to that surface. Here we go. Select the 2 of them. I don't really need the ends. Right click, add to surface as break line. Put that into the residential grading. And didn't do what I wanted it to do, but I do have that retaining wall in there. All right, it looks like I graded up when I should have graded down. that a problem? No, because I can take this, right click, raise lower, go -8, right? Send it down that way. And now all I have to do is readjust the endpoints. Again, set their cross slope to 0. And let me get the other side. That should be going. And there we go. This retaining wall method is in your document. Right? See the retaining wall back there? It's also all over the internet. Search gentleman named, search Civil 3D, Eric Chappelle grading. You'll come up with some good stuff. Chappell, I think. All right. So that's roughly how we grade. I hope you guys see the similarities with what we did on our intersections and cul-de-sacs. And go into that document more. Hopefully I can relay this effectively in our future sessions, but I definitely wanted you guys to see how it was done before you start tackling it. This is really, this residential grading is the bulk of, or the end of the tech training. So we've come to a good point. Does what I did here make sense? Okay. Just concepts. I get you guys won't know every command to use, how to, all these commands work. But do you get the idea? Set the first floor a little bit above the road, right?